let's do our fave 5 of 2020. That's not depressing. At Richvos writes in, he says, I'm interested to hear you guys' top 5 when I literally think you guys played a total of 5 new games this year, LOL. I think one guy played Last of Us 2. I think one guy played Ghost of Tsushima, and maybe someone played Final Fantasy VII Remake. LOL, love the show. Did somebody
None
play
of us played The
Last
Last of Us. No, none of us played The Last of Us.
No one's playing.
Who played Final Fantasy?
I don't know if anyone played Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Did you play Final Fantasy?
I played. I have not finished it, but I have played it, and I do enjoy it. It did not make my top 5 because I did not spend enough time with it.
Because that game came out 25 years ago and doesn't count.
It's a totally different game. It's not a. It's not
a. The same characters. Is the story the same? Same game.
Kind of. It's not a remaster. It's a remake. It's a different game.
I don't know.
You don't know. That's why I was telling you.
All right, so let's do our fave 5. Remember, this is not a top 5. It's our favorite 5. I see in the chat people are getting it wrong already. It's not top 5. It's our favorite 5. We have not played, just like this dude said, he's not that far off. He got some of the games wrong, but we played some games, but, you know, it's a lot of fucking games. So, in fact, I had a hard time coming up with 5 games that I could easily pick 5 games that I liked and 5 games that I played, you know, spent a few hours playing. But I had a difficult time coming up with Ship Over Time.
Oh, we lost Ship again. He's back. He's back.
I had a difficult time coming up with a 5th game that was my favorite, that I would say, oh, this is my favorite.
5 was the hardest. 4, the top 4 was pretty easy.
Right.
It was 5.
Yeah.
So let's say, we'll start with you, Cheapy. What was your number 5?
So to be honest, I did not write anything down, but I will, because I guess I should choose something, but it's under protest. I'll choose Hades. I enjoyed playing Hades. I could see I had fun. I looked up on Steam. I only played like 4 hours of it. So I have a hard time really classifying this and saying, like, this is one of my favorite games of 2020 because I only played like 4 hours of it. But I said we're doing the Fave 5, so Hades is my...
I still haven't played any of that. I feel like I should.
Yeah, you would like it. It's you know exactly what it is. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, what should I play that on?
Doesn't matter. I don't think it matters.
Doesn't matter. I can play that on Switch?
Oh, that I don't know.
Yes, you can.
I didn't
Physically,
know
yes, you can.
In the selection.
I'm hoping it comes out on another console at some point. That's what I'm waiting for.
Okay.
What do you got there, Ship? What's your number 5?
The chat says zero fun in the chat says it runs fine on Switch.
So I played a lot of games this year, but a lot of them were with my kids, and a lot of them were games that did not come out this year. Like I played through, I think, half of the Lego games that have ever been released this year. So I'm not picking Kamen Rider like somebody says in the chat. It did almost get there. I am going with number 5. Again, this is not a top list.
Favorite.
Let's get that straight. It's the G.I. Joe game.
Wow.
Nice.
G.I. Joe Operation Blackout is my number 5 game simply because somebody made a damn G.I. Joe game in 2020 and it was not
awful.
A disrespect to the franchise. It's not a great game. I mean, you look at the Metacritic, it's probably around a 50 or something like that, right? But I enjoyed it because the interactions were right and the characters were correct.
Cool.
So G.I. Joe Operation Blackout, probably the best G.I. Joe game ever.
Okay.
Excellent.
Fair. That's
better
than the Commodore 64 one.
Yeah. This is better than the Commodore 64 one.
Cool. That's awesome. We should put that on the box.
Yeah.
All right, Wombat, what do you got for your favorite 5?
D. Diggler in the chat mentioned Spiritfarer and says that no one will mention it. But it's not in my top 5, but I will mention that I did play that game and I enjoyed that game, but it just didn't quite hold my attention long enough to make my list.
Okay.
That could also be said for The Tourist, which was another.
The Tourist was quite good. It was in the running, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's another almost was. I'm putting this in my top 5 only because I played so much of it, and I know technically it's not new, but I'm putting the Marvel season of Fortnite as my number 5.
I don't like this choice.
That's fine.
Fine, I'll accept it.
It's a. I couldn't really think of something I really enjoyed.
It's fair.
It's fair. It technically was this year, and
Ty
it was.
asked me if you could pick. He's like, "Is Wombat going to pick Fortnite? Is he allowed to pick Fortnite?"
He's going to pick Fortnite. We all knew
said
that.
yes, and he's allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm putting it at number 5.
That's
it's not
fine.
like
No one's gonna complain.
No one's gonna complain. I think that the Marvel season was an interesting thing to do this summer at the same time that the Avengers game came out. It's actually kind of ballsy. Not that they did it, but that they actually pulled off Marvel characters in a better way than the video game about Marvel characters. So,
oh, spoilers. It sounds like Marvel's Avengers is not going to make your top 5.
No, it's not going to make my top 5. So it honestly, it would have been like one or the other. And if the Avengers was just a little bit better, it probably would have overdone. I would have put it on the list over Fortnite because I do feel like Fortnite, yes, it's a cop out of a pick.
No, it's not. That's fine. I mean, this is what I said to Ty. Is like, look, they're not putting out Fortnite 2, right? They're not putting out Fortnite 3. It's just Fortnite, and they're gonna keep, upgrading it. So that's it's fair to pick. Okay. Favorite game number 4. Let's start with Shipwreck.
Sure. Number 4, I had Animal Crossing.
Okay.
That is a really good game that I played a lot with my kids and my wife. My wife and my daughter are still heavily into the Animal Crossing. I weaned as the year went on, but I still put a significant amount of time into that game. And it was, that was the pandemic game, right? Like for this year.
Mm-hmm. It's also my number 4.
Okay, great.
So, it's you and I are simpatico on this one. It's very similar reasons. It came out at just the right time. My daughter and I played it together. She still plays it. It became a big part of our life this year. So, and it's, and Nintendo did exactly what they needed to do with Animal Crossing. They did not say like, okay, this is what Animal Crossing was, but here's what it's gonna be now. They said, here's what Animal Crossing was, and it still is. And here's little bit
they added
more.
a little bit to it. Give them some credit. They did modernize it a little bit.
Oh, sure.
And added content.
But they didn't reinvent the wheel with it in a way that made it not Animal Crossing.
The amazing thing is, it's so unique of a game in itself. There's nothing else that's quite Animal Crossing. There's plenty of farming games and simulation games, but there's nothing that nails Animal Crossing for what it is. And it could be just the most mundane thing, but it's still enjoyable to screw around with.
Yeah, and it's funny because there are a lot of games that try. I remember
I would love to be like, hey, we put out a game that's like Animal Crossing, get half the sales of an Animal Crossing. That sounds like a great idea. It's just not.
They never work. They always are missing that spark, that charm, that works, that makes it. I don't know. There's the comfort of just talking to Tom Nook. There's something very comfort food about that and Blathers and the familiarity of all of it. Then with all the new stuff that they add in, that makes it feel like you're, doing something different, and you are, but also the comfort level, especially during the height of the pandemic, kind of made it just a perfect storm. And number 4, and Cheapy, you're up. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Nice.
That it would have been higher on my list if it wasn't if the combat was more interesting. I feel like that game survives on its charm for me, on the characters and its charm and the writing and the environment, the way that they reproduced Japan, the cities of Japan, it's just unbelievable how good it is. But the combat, I feel like I'm just sort of wasting time. It's not particularly satisfying.
Have you gone to auto combat at this point?
I know that that's a thing, but is that what I should be doing?
I think so. I switched over to auto combat.
Okay.
And it makes everything just go a lot quicker. Like you still have the timed like button presses
Okay.
as part of the combat when you do the auto.
Sure.
But it actually can be smarter than what you are about using items, because I don't know if you're like I am, but I never use items.
Correct.
Like
that is me.
Yeah. You just buy all these items or have them and you never use them.
Once in a while,
Right, but the characters actually, if you put it on auto, the characters actually use those items, and it makes it. You see a lot more stuff on auto than you would if you were just playing and going through your usual motions.
Interesting.
Right?
You're saying it's more interesting to watch on auto?
I think after you've played enough of it, which you have, I would switch over to auto.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know that would, doing that's going to make that move any higher up on my list, but I definitely appreciate Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's just that the combat, it's like, are there a lot of those dungeons you wind up?
No, they're not.
Oh, okay.
That's the surprising part. Like that dungeon happens pretty early in the game.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no, is this going to be a thing?
Right. Where I can't avoid the combat.
I'm 40 hours in and there's not been another dungeon. Right. Okay. I think that's just a one-time thing from what I can tell.
Okay, cool.
So I will say that I'm at a point in the game right now where I literally can't progress the story until I get a certain amount of money.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that is, it's fine. But at the same point, it's like, I kind of feel like I'm hamstrung at this point. Oh. Like, I want the freedom of like deciding whether I want to go on with the mission or not. Not like, okay, this is the part where I have to grind to get enough money.
You got to go pick up cans now.
Yeah, I got to do some can hunting.
Cans. All right, so that's my number 4. Wombat.
Number 3.
Everybody did number 4.
We all did number 4.
Okay.
All right. My number 3 game is Doom Eternal.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't even remember you talking about this game at all.
I talked about that game actually for like 3 weeks in a row.
I zoned out.
I know, and I finished the game too. I almost 100%ed it. I think I got like 93%, which is a lot because there's a lot of collectibles in that game. I really enjoyed the heck out of that game. I know there were some people that weren't thrilled about the amount of platforming in it, but I actually kind of liked the amount of platforming in it. I thought it made it unique. I liked the leveling system and the weapons, and I even enjoyed replaying some of the levels. I really like that game. It looks great, and it was, it was gross also, and I kind of like a fun, gross game, Sometimes you need that. You need to run around. It came out the same day as Animal Crossing. Also, again, this sort of height of the pandemic, right place, right time thing, where in between the passivity of playing Animal Crossing, I also needed the extreme violence of Doom. And it was like a perfect dichotomy at that time. And
surf and turf.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a great single player experience that I highly recommend. It is on Game Pass now too, so check it out.
Have you played the expansion?
I have not. But a lot of fun.
Angeltron in the chat wanted to know.
Yeah.
All right, that's your number 3 favorite game. That was Doom Eternal.
I didn't even remember that game came out this year.
Yeah, right. But it did.
Good for it.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it's really good. I'm sure I have a copy over here that I GCU'd at some point that I never played.
I remember it got good reviews. But I also remember not finishing the one before it.
I want to check it out. It's just
I like it better than the one before it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go next.
Sure.
This one I think Shipwrecks is on Shipwreck's list too. I had to guess. Not 100% sure.
Captain Poop in the Poop Factory?
No. Streets of Rage 4. No?
It is not on my list.
Not on your list.
I enjoyed that game. I did not finish it.
Okay, my family and I, that was a game that we surprisingly came together to play a lot. Like every night we would play. We finished it. We played through it more than once actually. And even Mrs. Cheapy got in on the action, and I was shocked because she only likes to watch usually, but if she'll play, it's got to be something like not like this. You would think just like something more like Lego or something where you can't like die or fuck up stuff for other people or the rest of the players. But somehow it just everything worked with Streets of Rage 4, and the animation was fantastic. It was really like a great length. I don't know. It was a great game. They really nailed it. And I would play
What did Streets of Rage 4 do right that Battletoads did wrong?
I did not play Battletoads.
Everything. Streets of Rage 4 is a well-tuned game that has great animation, and the graphics are really nice to look at.
They pop off the screen. Like everything looks like it looks like it cost a fortune.
No, I just think it's very interesting because both those games came out this year. They both have that
Battletoads was not good. That was the difference.
know, and it's so I'm not arguing with you. I just find it to be an interesting examination of two games that have similar legacies, and both came out with these highly anticipated reboots, I guess, this year. And one of them seems to have done it right, and the other one seems to have done it wrong. And I just find that very interesting.
It happens. I mean, yeah, Streets of Rage, it took the same core gameplay that was always there and just fancied it up graphics wise, right? Like
yeah, that's really
added a little more, I think, in terms of the variety of the moves
and more characters. Like there's more than 3.
Where Battletoads was, and I didn't finish either of these games, not because I didn't finish Streets of Rage because Mrs. Shipwreck didn't take to it like Mrs. Cheapy did.
Huh.
She thought it was fine, but she doesn't like the beat 'em ups.
Okay.
Like she finds them boring, which is
sure.
perfectly fine. Like beat 'em ups are oftentimes very boring.
It's amazing how much more we'll play of any game that our wives find interesting.
Yeah. Whereas Battletoads it took the quirky parts of Battletoads and like lengthened them out for some reason, where it didn't make them any more fun. It just made it like, hey, this was kind of Battletoads. Did you want us to like make it longer?
Right. Weird. Well, Streets of Rage 4 was just so good, and anything that they put out, like I'm there. I just wish they would milk it and just do G.I. Joe, Transformers, anything that they could fit in this anything that makes sense. I don't need to think of it, but so good.
All right, Chip, you're up.
Yep. Number 3.
My number 3 is Miles Morales, the new Spider-Man.
Oh, I forgot that came out.
Well, that's because you don't have a PlayStation 5, right?
No, I do not, so I wouldn't have played it.
It's on PlayStation 4.
It's on PlayStation 4 as well.
I know. I still haven't played it.
Just out of principle, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. I think that's probably true for a lot of people, is they know there's a PlayStation 5 version and that's the place to play it. So if you're planning on getting a PlayStation 5 at some point, why would you play it on PlayStation 4?
Right.
Yep.
Something to look forward to, a treat.
Yeah. I've talked about it recently. It's a really good update / DLC of, I don't know, 2 years ago Spider-Man game. Is that when that last one came out? 2018. Mm-hmm. The story is a lot shorter and thus a lot more impactful, I think, than trying to stretch out a Spider-Man story over 40 hours.
Does Uncle Ben die?
Uncle Ben, he may be mentioned in this game. I don't remember if he's mentioned at all.
I'm sorry to hear that, Miles. That reminds me of when my Uncle Ben died.
Yeah, that could have been there.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But it would have been higher if this was truly a full game
sequel.
Yeah, like a sequel rather than just more of the existing Spider-Man game. But more of the existing Spider-Man still is really good. Perhaps the best superhero game ever.
It's possible.
Makes sense. Batmans were good.
That's true. Those Batmans were really good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right.
Also, Dashel loves just playing that game as well. Like it's accessible on so many levels, but then it's complex as far as the combat goes.
Right.
So it's pretty remarkable what they can do, and just the scope of. I know they used a lot of the same assets from the last game, but the scope of like the Manhattan from the last game is pretty ridiculous.
Oh, cool. I'm looking forward to playing that when I finally get a PS5 and a new TV. It's gonna be awesome. Where are we here? Everybody did their threes.
we all did their threes. So what's your number 2, GB?
Number 2.
Number 2.
Do you want to guess?
I know what your number 1's going to be.
Okay, so guess my number 2.
I don't know if I can guess your number 2, knowing what
Ship
your
I
number.
Can I? I feel I know what your number 1 is as well. I don't.
Yep.
I don't know what your number
Damn,
2
I should have
is.
made my number 1 my number 2, and then I really would have rocked your worlds. All right, I'll just tell you then.
Okay.
Call of Duty,
Call of Duty Warzone.
Oh, okay.
As soon as I'm like, oh, I know what it is. I watched you play it today.
You watched me play today. I've probably put in the most hours in that game this year, I would say. And it's a free game. And I admit that there's something to the internet gaming syndrome that I get, addicted to online multiplayer games and battle royale. It's just battle royale. To me, there's nothing as exciting as a battle royale game. Like, I get sweaty when I play it, when I get down to like the last 10 or 20.
I don't know. I've never played one.
Do you get sweaty when you play Fortnite and you're down to
The way
last
we
10?
describe it at my house is when we in a Fortnite round, when I'm like top 5, which happens a lot. Like it almost becomes a horror game where the space is really tight and you don't know where you can go and you don't want to turn a corner and get insta-killed.
Right.
And you got to find the right space. And as everything gets a little more claustrophobic, it almost becomes it's suspenseful. And yes, it's totally addicting, and it's an endorphin rush, especially if and when you do win, which happens every now and again as well. So, and there is something fun about that. Even, we talked about this briefly. My wife likes to watch me play that game, especially.
Wait, we're talking about Warzone now or what?
No, like Fortnite.
No, we're talking about Fortnite.
How are we
Wombat's
on Fortnite?
Steered this back towards you said the word Fortnite,
Oh,
and Wombat
fuck.
just took it and ran with it.
Now
Damn it.
let's talk about Call of Duty Warzone. Why is it so amazing? It's a gorgeous game.
First of all, it looks fantastic. Even I was playing on PC today, and DeFatty was watching me play, and he's like, "Damn!" He's like, "This game is. Are you playing on PC? Like, this game looks really good." They put out a new map today, which is the 40-man. It's a smaller map, 40 players, teams of 3, and I got my first victory, my first Warzone victory today.
I saw it. I can
Wombat
confirm.
was there. And it was actually good. Like I got a lot of kills in the match.
It was a really strong match.
Thank you. Wow, were you looking at me in a whole new light after that?
I was impressed. I said you did a very impressive job.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I mean, like I said, I played that game. Probably put the most hours into that game, even though that was my first win on the smaller map, and I never won on the big map. But they've done a great job of supporting the game, and it's free. Did I mention it was free?
Mm-hmm.
And the way it integrates with if you bought what was the other one called? Not
Cold War?
Not that one, but the one before.
Pre-Cold War.
Pre-Cold War. That's what it's called.
Modern Warfare.
Something. I'll take
6.
I can't remember. Who knows? If you bought one of the last 2 games, they integrate the battle royale aspect into it and like into your loadouts and stuff, and it's all a vast tapestry. Anyway, that's my number 2 favorite game, Call of Duty Warzone.
Nice. Whose turn is it?
Yours.
All right. My number 2 game is. Wait, I guarantee you none of you can guess.
Oh.
Do you want to take a stab at
Well,
it?
if you say no, then I'm not going to. I probably don't know it. I agree with you.
Yeah. My number 2 game is someone K6 in the chat. Skyrim. No, it is not Skyrim. It is Maneater. The shark simulation game.
Okay.
That I 100%ed.
Awesome.
Yeah. That is it. Although albeit a short game, I really like that game. That game is a lot of fun. There's nothing else to it other than this game is a lot of fun.
You're a shark, and what else do you need to know? It's an
Exactly.
open water RPG.
It's a game. It says it right on the box. You're gonna be a shark. You're gonna eat a whole lot of crap. Go to town. I really like that. You know, that game is a lot of fun.
I will play it.
It's really, you should play it if you haven't. I'm sure it's pretty cheap right now somewhere. And you know, it has a really interesting leveling system. I even like the gear system in that game is surprisingly
You get gear.
yeah, you get gear for your shark. And you can get matching gear sets. I mean, you know, there's more going on than just swimming and eating people, but at the end of the day, you're just swimming and eating people. Right. And there's also something satisfying about becoming that full-size shark. You know, when you reach, you know, the end game and going back to the smaller areas just to devour everything because you can, when it was so difficult, you know, 7 hours earlier in the game.
Right.
Okay.
So, and I was like, yeah, Maneater, great game.
I believe there's next gen upgrades for that.
There is. I haven't checked it out yet, only because I played that whole game. But
I gotta grab that when it's probably, like you said, I think I saw it for like $13. If I
it keeps on going on sale for like $15 or less.
I gotta find a digital copy of that for something around that price. Cool, Maneater. Number 2 for Wombat.
Number 2.
Ship, you're number 2.
My number 2 is a game called Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2.
Good name.
It is a really good name. I think I've said this before, but they didn't screw it up somehow. I put a lot of time into this game. I want to play more of this game. I haven't played it here in about a month, and I know they just added a whole bunch of new content to it as well. Man, that game is really good still. That is.
Now, did we ever find out if Spider-Man and Wolverine are in that game?
They not unless they added them recently. They are not.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So yeah, I mean, I've gone through. I've nearly gotten all the gaps at this point. I took a break. I literally have like maybe 5 gaps to go. But then they went back and
how many
fixed,
Banana Republics?
I got all the Banana Republics already. I collected those. They fixed the things after the fact that I haven't not gone back to it since this point, where you didn't have all the goals if you played it all as different characters, so you couldn't play through the game over and over again. Now they've fixed that, so now I can play through the game over and over again and get all the goals again.
Sweet.
So yes, I am really happy about that game. I want to install it. I have not tried it on the next gen consoles yet to see how it plays on there. But
probably quick load times.
Yeah, I'm sure the load times are ridiculously fast on that now.
Totally worth it for that.
All right.
No, now the big ones. Rolling into number 1.
I'll go first since you guys both know. Everybody knows my number 1 pick.
Oh, wait. Can I guess?
Yes.
Fortnite. Is it Call of Duty Warzone?
Yes. No, it's Ghost of Tsushima.
What? I don't even remember you talking about that game.
Look, it's flashing behind me. That means Ghost of Tsushima. No. Yeah, that's the open world action game that sort of ruined open world action games for me, and that's why when I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it was really hard to get into it because Tsushima, they turned that experience into more of a cinematic experience where even just getting from point A to point B is visually exciting. And even just getting into a fight is visually interesting and cinematic. And Assassin's Creed doesn't really pull that off. And I think they've tried to do it more so in Valhalla, with there's like a button to push for like cinematic, literally for like cinematic stuff. But it's not the same. I think because they had these old samurai films to draw from, they had like sort of like a cheat book that they could copy off of and say, hey, if we could make our video game look like this, I think we could have something here. And they did. They did that, and they did. The story was good. The fighting was good. Great job. Mrs. Cheapy agrees too. I consulted with her before the show, and she answered very quickly.
Okay, now we're gonna have Shipwreck talk about a game we already talked about.
I want to play that Ghost game too. It's on my very short list of next up games.
Oh,
I
want to
play that game a lot,
on PS5 too.
Yeah, that's the next game I want to play on PS5 is that.
I don't have
unless the next
PS5.
Kamen Rider game that I imported comes.
There you go.
Wombat, do you have a PS5?
No, I don't have a PS5.
Oh, okay. I'm just checking.
I don't have Ghost of Tsushima or a PS5.
You could solve one of those things.
I could solve one of those very easily. I know.
One of those, not so much.
I could fix one of those problems.
Okay, Shipwreck. You're telling us.
Yes, my number one, as Wombat said, it's something we've already talked about. It's the Marvel season of Fortnite.
Yes. Which was your favorite character?
Yeah, who'd you like? Was it Storm? You strike me as a Storm.
Yeah,
all the rainbow foils.
Yeah, I got all of the ridiculous shit that you put on the characters and did all of that stuff, all the missions. Fantastic.
You built the towers and you fell off the things.
All of them. I went to all the concerts. I did it all.
So Diplo as Wolverine?
Yeah, he was there. Deadpool came in. It was great. No, it's Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Right.
I'm about 40 hours into it. I like I said, I'm going to take my time and finish this because it's just so quirky. Like I play it about 2 hours a night, right after the kids go to bed, and I enjoy getting absolutely nothing done. It seems like in that 2 hours.
Totally.
Right, but everything about it is definitely up my alley. Like it's got the checklist that you go through, infinite checklists of things to do. It's amazing. Like it's an open world game, but it's a confined city, right? Like it doesn't look like the map's that big, but it's so densely populated with stuff to do.
Right.
And I haven't even gotten into like the business management sim that much. Like I've dabbled in it, but I know that that's there and something that I want to do. But right now I just go through a lot of cutscenes that Wombat would skip, and I enjoy those.
Is Mrs. Ship watching?
She is.
Okay.
She's watching, like at the same time she's playing what's that character's name? Goramon? Is that his name? Is that the cat?
Doraemon.
Doraemon. Yeah, she's playing the Story of Seasons Doraemon game on the Switch. At the same time, but like anytime there's a cutscene, she immediately like looks up to like see what nonsense is going on. And it's very much an appreciation of how ridiculous this game is. Like she can clearly see like this is an excellent game that is completely ridiculous at the same time.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like, and I've dabbled in Yakuza games. I've finished a couple of them in the past. This one, I think, with the low stakes of the Japanese RPG turn-based, it just makes it easier to just get in there and not have to worry about the combat so much.
I'm going to try the auto like you suggested.
Yeah,
that sounds like a
and
good call.
The characters are so good. Ichiban is so good as a character. Like
I feel like if you were playing in Japanese, you would enjoy it more almost, because even not knowing what the dude is saying, the voice is so good. Like you can almost, I don't know. I feel like it's got to be a different experience almost if you're hearing it a different actor.
The amazing thing is like this game versus Cyberpunk, right? Like that they can pull this game off, and it's like such an enjoyable experience. While Cyberpunk is floundering about, fumfering, I guess, or is that what it's doing?
Learning.
You use it right. Yep.
What an educational show this is.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think Yakuza Like a Dragon, I think, is a game that maybe most people might not finish just because it's pretty long, but I think whatever time they put into it, they would enjoy it.
Yeah. Cool. All right, that's your number one, and I guess we're done. Oh, there's one more. Wombat didn't go yet. Sorry, I forgot.
Which Ubisoft game is it, Wombat?
It's Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Okay, there we go.
I completed that game over the weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it immensely from the minute I started playing it until the minute I finished it. It's a really fun game. it doesn't aspire to be any more than it is, which I like. It's it's a video game. It's an open world video game. There's a lot of there's a lot of icons on the map. It borrows from a lot of games that came before it, like your Breath of the Wilds and your Assassin's Creeds, and that's okay if you put it all in a package that's fun and enjoyable and accessible. I know a lot of people crap on that, and I don't understand why. Because sometimes you need to have, yes, for every game that overstretches itself, like your Yakuza Like a Dragons, that are doing something wild and new and out of the box, I think it's sometimes nice to also have another game you can go to that reminds you, like, oh yeah, and this is what video games are like also. And in this world, there's room in the world for both, is what I'm saying, that are picture complementary in many ways. So
I checked it out. I actually
I saw you streamed a little bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to the another game where you have to play for like a couple of hours before you get to the the title screen.
Yes.
But it was a nice title reveal, and the game looks like it really opens up and gets pretty at that point. A lot of greenery.
Yes. It's a very green game.
Yeah, it looked
very
cool.
Colorful game, and
I like the art style. People don't like people were shitting on the art style, but I kind of like it.
Me too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's just a hard sell as a game, right? Like,
yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think you look at it and you're like, what is this? Some sort of Breath of the Wild ripoff?
Yes.
Is it Assassin's Creed for kids?
Yes.
Well, yeah, and I'm like, kinda. Yeah, it's a little of both these things, but how is that bad? And a lot of people in the chat are like, but you disliked Breath of the Wild. Why do you like this? And I like this because it takes everything I didn't like about Breath of the Wild. I didn't like that I was constantly running out of weapons because they would break. You don't break weapons in this game. It didn't have there are more carrots in this game. It's more my style. There's lots of armor to collect, lots of helmets to collect, lots of checklists and doodads and helmets and challenges. And I just enjoy that style of game a little bit more. So it's like Breath of the Wild, but it also isn't like Breath of the Wild. I do like the puzzles. I do like the, those dungeon. You did one of those GPS, so you do it where you screwed it up. But
I got there eventually. Well, no, I got to go back.
You got to go back. But I like the challenge. I like those puzzles. I like that there are more than one challenge in most of those, where sometimes you have to go back to it when you've unlocked that ability to do something that you couldn't do before. Like you didn't have that gliding ability, so you couldn't really take full advantage of what you could get in that first dungeon.
Makes sense.
So, and I kind of like that about this game.
It's more accessible than Breath of the Wild in a lot of ways. Like
significantly. Well, it has the difficulty adjustments, even just like that alone makes it more accessible. Where if you're really don't want to deal too much with dying, you can set it to easy. Yeah. Which is nothing wrong with that. And then there's a setting even below that. There's even story mode. So
you don't even need to play autoplay.
Yeah. I just saying. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how easy story mode is. I didn't check it out. But it's a lot.
Why is the name of this game so bad?
It was originally called, I believe, Gods and Monsters.
Yeah.
That's better.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't allowed to use that name because of the movie Gods and Monsters.
That makes sense.
That's fine. But they could have used something else besides this name, right?
Yeah.
This name is really bad.
Yep, it's a bad. The game has a bad name, but it's
Zeus.
A very
they could have called
game.
it like anything with Zeus in the title would probably be good. Like that's tried and true name. I mean something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not in the game naming business.
Could be.
Typhon's Revenge. Would you have played that?
Nah. Zeus. Let's go with the names that we know. Like
well, there was a game called Zeus on the PC.
Well,
I think even like you could like rearrange these. Take the Phoenix part out of this. Like Rise of the Immortals. Like that's a better name than Immortals :
it's
Phoenix spelled funky rising. That's the name of this game, right? Immortals: Phoenix Rising. I can't even remember what the name of this game is.
But
Rising, I think, is a bad word too.
FENY.
Rise of is better than Rising. Although I get it when they say Phoenix Rising, but I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, it seems like a solid game, and it's your number one pick.
Yeah. Go
Your
play
favorite
it.
game of 2020.
Yeah, it really was.
So we only had one crossover game between all of our picks, and that was Yakuza.
No, Wombat and I both had Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay,
both-
got it.
There was Animal Crossing and there was Yakuza.
Damn. Well, I guess those are our favorite 2 games of the year as a group.
As a group.
If we have to pick 2. I don't know how this works.
I don't think that it works that
Oh.
way, but sure.
All right. That's our fave 5 of 2020. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Good job,
Um,
everybody.
What's that?
Good job, everybody.
Yeah,
Except
at least we played 5 games.
Except for that Fortnite pick.
That's a fine pick. I support that Wombat. I'm with you on that, dude. That's fine.
I'm fine with that as well.
can't-
I put like 9,000 hours into Fortnite this year.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
getting on the list.
it's the like I said, Fortnite 2 is not coming out.
No, and I wanted my list to include games I finished this year, and
It makes
that
sense.
technically counts. I could have put Avengers on there instead, but Avengers is too. I
we
would
would have had to talk about Avengers again then.
Yeah.
Right. You guys, we should post this list. People like to see the list in print. So if
That's
you guys
fine.
could
They're
cut
gonna
and
see that I
paste-
picked G.I. Joe then.
Yeah, cut and paste that into
You know
this
what? The
outline.
people who made the G.I. Joe game are going to be so happy.
They will be probably. Like not many people will probably pick
Yeah.
that.
I bet the Phoenix Rising people will say thank you, even maybe.
I'm sure. Yeah, it didn't make a lot of lists. Here, put your lists in the document if you can, so I can use it later. Because otherwise, I'm gonna
Ugh.
forget.